So we've been talking about the 2020 issue intake and case management benchmark report from ComplianceLine, and obviously your issue intake and the way that people engage with the reporting of this stuff is not the whole game. But we've talked through having good employee engagement. We've talked to people about having that empathetic and adaptive intake across all your different channels. And then if you can marry that up with having that systematic follow-up, then all of that is going to get you to close your issues faster. But again, even getting to the bottom of that equation is not the whole thing, right?
Right. So I think there's a few takeaways from this report, and I think closing cases faster is an indication that you're moving toward this
kind of ideal,
this ideal. So,
and that's just one way to measure. It's not the goal in and of itself. It's a way to measure if we're heading toward that
exactly. Goal. So I think a few takeaways from this broad report, and again, some of this stuff is already in the report, is the first thing that we need to do to elevate and use this as a true strategic lever in our organization, I'm talking about intake and case management obviously, the first thing we need to do is to recognize that this is the start of a conversation. Yep. So if you're treating this thing as a check the box, function in your organization,
just drop it in the comment box.
Yeah, and bottomless comment box, and hey, I need to have a hotline. Then fine,
gotta do it.
If you spend a little bit of effort on it, on elevating it and making it more effective, you just get so much bang for your buck. You get so much leverage out of this thing if you can tie it down to that foundational speak up culture.
And we see it across the 6 million employees who we work with and the leaders who care for them, who we help. Right.
Right. The other thing to recognize is that your first clients are your employee.
Yep.
So you're never going to have a company that your clients love if it's not full of people, employees, who love that company first.
Yeah.
So this veil that used to exist between the internal and the external and the sort of market branding and the employee experience, that's been pierced if it even exists at all anymore.
Yeah. And so everyone knows that you got reviews on Glassdoor and reviews on Yelp, and you got people posting, employees and customers posting on social media and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
or you have we hear from clients from time to time that they checked out our Glassdoor reviews before they signed with us.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
All of that stuff.
Yeah, it comes into the sales process and your vendors and all of that. There's a lot more transparency.
That's right.
And it's good that it's helped us, as a culture, kind of see some of these problems and start addressing them. But it demands that we relook at some of the things that we're in a silo, and this is just compliance, and these are just the people who say no. That's not what it is. Compliance is culture, and this breaking down of these walls allows compliance to be that strategic arm.
Right. Another big takeaway is that there are ways that you can use your hotline in creative ways to help reinforce that speak up culture that we're all kind of driving toward, right? So things like ideation lines or things like a diversity and inclusion line will show that, hey, I want you to speak up, I want your ideas, you have good ideas, and here's a great way for you to say how we can improve the organization. Or, hey, we're really committed to this social issue, and here we're putting our money where our mouth is with a diversity and inclusion line or a Me Too line or whatever. Things like that send a massive message to the employees in the organization about what you and what leadership of your organization actually cares about.
Because ethics experts are really ahead of the curve on a lot of these things, because for decades we've been trying to impact some specific things around, legal liability or regulation or whatever, but it's really impacting culture.
Right.
And if you care about diversity or you care about innovation, well, compliance leaders and HR and ethics leaders, they're ahead of the curve. We already have this stuff in place, and we're already practiced in engaging people in a conversation, finding out some information, following up on it, and that really should lead to compliance leaders being more of a partner to other departments within the organization.
That's right, and that leads to maybe the biggest takeaway of the whole situation here, and that is this. Ethics and compliance in HR, in our view and in our experience, are the most underutilized asset in virtually every organization we come in contact with. There's a systemic light bulb over the head of sort of leadership at large around these functions, and they view them as cost centers, and they put them in pigeonholes, and they get their budgets cut and so forth. So it's up to us as ethics and compliance leaders to elevate out of that pigeonhole. And I think the best way to do that is by knocking down some of these silo walls that Gio talked about. Listen, as an organization grows, it's inevitable that these walls can start to rise up. So what you can do as an E&C pro or as an HR pro is to start leaning into the fact that you're one of the few departments that really reach around and touch the whole organization and touch these different sort of operational departments. So, you need to be you need to be best friends basically with the HR person if you're an E&C pro. You need to be best friends with the HR department, the finance department, and the strategy department.
Yeah.
The four of you need to be the three musketeers plus D'Artagnan to really knock those walls down, and you can really elevate together. So this is getting down to this last takeaway, which is it's on you to elevate, and you're going to do that through leadership, and you're going to do that by reaching across the aisle to these other departments in a way that you can help solve a problem for somebody else is by using some of the tools that you already have in place. So for example, let's say you reach out to the finance person or you reach out to the HR person and you guys are working in different silos. Well, you can help them with a tool that you already have in place to handle HR issues if only compliance stuff is coming through your hotline, or start to handle, again, ideation issues if the strategy person is trying to have a big push for continuous improvement, or, Kaiban and things like that.
Yeah.
But it's going to take us changing our destiny for the destiny to actually change.
Right.
Or we can just wait, another 10 years until those light bulbs naturally turn on at the top. But I think now is our real opportunity, because we're going to see a massive change over the next 10 years as these functions like compliance, like ethics, who have been sitting at the kiddie table, by the end of the decade, they're going to have a seat at the table. But that's going to be accelerated by leaders like you, who are able to see the opportunity to build a relationship, to build a bridge, and start solving problems across the aisle to really show the people at the top who care about what? Bottom line, stock options, dollar bills, that these functions can have a bigger impact than they previously thought. And then it's going to open up a ton of opportunity for you to have that impact that you can have.
And I've had some discussions with people on LinkedIn or on the Ethics Experts podcast about, that's the job of leadership. That's the job of the board and the CEO, and they should be pushing this stuff in. And listen, if it's happening, that's great. So if your CEO is calling you in and you're the compliance director or officer, and they say, hey, we want you to help with this stuff because we know how great you are, well, that's great. But to your point, if it's not happening, well, you can wait and hope. Hope's not a strategy. Or you can do what you can to jump in, build some of those bridges, get those conversations going. And listen, obviously, everyone in compliance and ethics and HR, we got a lot on our plates. There's a lot that we're trying to do. We have a tight budget and all of that stuff. But the point is that the assets and the experience are already in place. Your heart for the organization, right, and that the fact that you have this balanced scorecard view and you have this understanding that the whole culture and all the people matter, well, if you can step up and build a bridge, have a conversation, make an offer to say, hey, I think we can help out with this, then that can really start changing that dynamic and be a breath of fresh air of people saying, hey, you know what? Everyone else is kind of fighting over territory. The compliance team, the ethics experts, they actually come in and help. And if you can start doing that, then we, not only as individuals, not only as a team, but as an entire profession, will start to be what we all want to be, and that's people who make an impact and make the world a safer workplace.